Hello and welcome to my series of conversations with stalwarts of music. Today's episode is being partnered along with Perpetual Buzz Experiences. They are an artist representation company with three very basic but lofty goals. They're the launchpad for a lot of indie musicians, helping them leverage success in the best possible way. And they also make sure that the entire experience is worthwhile. Do check them out on www.perpetualbuzz.com. And we have yet another podcast partner, which is Wire Up Music Store, which is one of the finest music retail stores with state of art equipment. Your one stop solution, ranging from guitars to ukulele to percussive instruments to classical instruments. Do check out their Instagram handle at the rate wireup.india. Speaking of my distinguished guest for today, my guest today is a Grammy Award winning musician, one of the most accomplished international bass players, composers, and multi instrumentalists. He's got a very unique sound and a vocal gift that he's been continuously trying to express for several decades now, and he has African roots. His music addresses the continent's traditions, beauty, and a lot of social issues. His purpose and the way he connects with his audience has turned him into a very staple but big name in the world of jazz and Afropop music. He's toured, composed, recorded in different musical forms with legends like Harry Belafonte, Quincy Jones, Chick Corea, Sting, Mike Stern, and many more. He's highly involved in developing better music business practices and ethics. He's someone who stands by that. His signature series collaboration is with the Italian-based band called Mark Bass, which has positioned him as one of the most creative and best-selling bass amps in the world today. Without any further ado, I'm delighted to welcome my guest for today, Monsieur Richard Bona.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Namaste,
Namaste, Mr. Bona.
Thank you.
How are
very
you?
much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing good. What about you?
Very well, very well. I couldn't be happier than talking to one of my biggest musical inspirations and musical idols. And I would like to get started with our agenda for today. But before we get started with our agenda, I have a question for you, Mr. Bona. There's a big mystical music voodoo box that is full of secrets within you. If I were to ask you the right questions, do you think I might be able to open the box and unfold the secrets maybe?
If it's a secret, and then if I tell you, then it's not a secret anymore.
Well,
secrets are not meant to be told.
That's right.
Secrets are meant to be kept.
That's right.
Yeah. Once we open the box, and then they're no longer a secret out there.
So you choose to sort of keep your signature traits confidential. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, the secrets are all kept.
Lovely, lovely. So let's get started with our agenda for today. I have a couple of interesting questions coming your way. So let's start at the beginning. You were born in 1967 in the town of Minta, which is in Cameroon. What sort of a family were you born into?
I'm born in a very remote place. First, Minta is in the eastern part of Cameroon, so it's not like in a big city, so really far from the capital, for example. So I was born in a very remote place, but music was we were so attached to the music. My grandfather, all my grand uncles, and all of these folks were playing music.
Yeah,
they were all they were mostly like traditional musicians and storytellers, and as you know, in our culture in Africa, we associate music with everything, with our custom practices, and we do everything with music. Could be a wedding, could be baptism, could be a newborn coming, could be somebody dying, we always have to inject the music into a situation.
I understand.
That's the environment I was born into. So I just, you pick up whatever is your surrounding. And the first thing I could pick up quickly was the percussion, the balaphone. So I started to play balaphone,
Wow.
because my grandpa used to take me to rehearsals when I was a kid. I don't remember. It's just the story they tell. Used to take me to rehearsals, and I was pretty much very active. As a kid, I was, easy to be engaged and stuff. But it looks like the only thing that kind of calmed me down was the sound of a balaphone.
Got it.
Every time he went to a rehearsal, when he started to play balaphone, that was the moment that I was kind of like, it's like, decided to build me a balaphone when I was 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
We had this beautiful balaphone,
Mhm.
and that's how I became quiet home. And I started to just bang in the balaphone every day, banging on the balaphone. So that's how I started. And by 5, I joined the band. I joined their band, and so my first instrument was the balaphone, and I'm playing percussion too. So that's the environment I was born in.
Got it. So, would it be right to say that music, in the sense, was inherited through your genes almost, from whatever I gauge?
Yeah, absolutely, because my mother singing was, out of scale, completely so beautiful. It's just mm, So I was in the bed listening to all these beautiful melodies. I get it. Once I got up,
Mhm.
I just picked up what was there.
Lovely. I mean, it's so inspiring to see someone, probably at the age of 5. I gather you started making your own set of instruments that included flutes and guitar. So, were you the self-disciplined young boy with such an early sensibility?
I mean, it was just my environment. I don't think I was more disciplined than any other kid. It was just my own environment. I mean, if you wanted to play an instrument, you were going to build it.
Hmm.
It wasn't an environment where if I want a cable here, I'm in Miami Beach. If I need a cable, I just go to Guitar Center or I go to any store and pick up a guitar and buy a guitar. Where
Oh,
I was born, you are going to build your own instrument. So
got it.
when I wanted to play flute, I climbed the papaya tree, cut those things aside and dry them and put holes and tune it. And that was my flute right there. And you wanted to play balaphone, same thing. You climb the tree, you cut this thing down, tune it, got the pieces, make them look good, put the calibers down and all those things. Because nobody would do it for you. And they're not stores, they're not shops. Uh, so you have left out there. You do it on your own. So that was my surrounding. So it wasn't like I was just gifted. It's a human, it's something that we have in us. We find ways, you know, especially when it becomes a passion. When it's a passion, nobody can stop it.
Of course. But would it be right to say that you had a very uh, high intellect in terms of understanding dynamics of these instruments, because it's such a big deal to sort of create an instrument altogether. If you were to ask me to make a guitar, I'd have no clue how to go about it. But at the age of 5, you've sort of created an instrument, understanding the dynamics of it, understanding a lot of technicalities associated with that instrument.
Because you right now, if you're in Mumbai,
Uh huh.
you would think you cannot do it. But if I take you right now and put you in your Kaduma,
Uh huh.
where you're not in the Mumbai environment, then your brain started to think different.
Got
Too.
it.
It's a human thing. I don't think I was more, but definitely one thing, the music spoke to me easily. I think that's one thing that spoke to me
Hmm.
in a direct way more than anything else. Like I built my balaphone, and somehow my own logic, I tuned my balaphone
Okay.
chromatically.
Okay.
Somehow my brain, even at 5, the sound, I understood that the sound should, this is how the sound should go. I built a chromatic balaphone. I was maybe 6, not 5 exactly. But at that time, my brain already understood. But that's all I did all the time. Yep. Singing, playing, listening, always. And it's the only thing that kind of captured my attention. So when something captures a kid's attention, trust me, he's going to put his whole mind into it. And you're just starting to replicate things that are appearing into your vision somehow, a higher vision. So it's not something, I just think music has spoken to me directly in a very, in a good way. So, and I capture the whole thing. And still today, I still have the same passion burning inside. And I love playing, man, all the times. I love playing all the times. I never got tired, so it's the same way, but it's different now because, I live the life that I live as a professional musician, traveling the world, living in one of the most beautiful capitals in the world. If I want an instrument now, I'm not going to climb a tree today to do it. I can't even climb a tree at these days, I may take the tree down.
So did you manage to absorb all of these skills from your environment, which sort of prompted you to head in this direction? Would it be right to say that?
Yeah, I have to say, by the age of 8, 9, I absorbed so much music. I mean, yeah, I was playing 7 days a week. Wow. I grew up playing 7 days a week. I mean, ceremonies, churches, funerals. Oh man, to the point where my voice was always gone as a kid because I used to sing every day, every night and stuff. So, and it sounded like my natural voice. It wasn't my natural voice. When I was a kid, people thought my voice was, hey. It wasn't my natural voice. It was because, I was singing nonstop, and it's just when I went in a city when my father got a job as a truck driver, so he moved the family. I got a city. I was 11 years old, and then when I got there, I wasn't singing as I was in the village, and my voice changed right there in a week only.
At a later point, as teenage kicked in and then you wanted to pursue this a little more seriously, you emigrated to Germany, I believe, at the age of 22. Why did you choose to make this move? Was the ambition to move on to grander and more comprehensive music being born inside in?
I was actually 22 was France, but before Germany was 20.
Okay.
It wasn't my initiative. It wasn't from me. It wasn't something that I initiated. It was something initiated by an institute, a German institute, having me travel to Essen, close to Düsseldorf, and trying to see. But the barrier of language made it very uncomfortable, because also the education system there, when you take a musician, by the time I was 20, I'm already a professional musician. I'm talking professional musician living, I was a professional musician. I was 13 years old. So by the time I was 20, taking me to study music, starting as a classical with people that was just, one single note, holding the note and all, which is classical, is one of the best. If I had to go and study music, I was studying classical music. But I felt like by the time I was 20, it was already too late. So I went back again home, and then I chose to go to France. And also there were that, language barrier that, the barrier of language is such especially when you're with an adult, because I consider myself back then, by the time I was 20, I was an adult. I wasn't a kid anymore. Because when you're a kid, you have that capacity to absorb a lot of languages. But at the time you're 15, 16, 16, 17, becomes impossible. And not impossible, it becomes more a bigger challenge, and that wasn't a challenge to me. I didn't want to, you know. So I felt like, no, this is not. And then I went to France when I was 22, and I stayed in France about 5 years, a little less than 5 years. And then I felt also like same thing. I felt like France was not a place for me. I wouldn't make it here because, like when I got to France, they label me. The places where they just label you like as the bass player. But mine, I'm like, I'm not just a bass player, man. I play the guitar just like I play the bass. I play percussion even better than the bass. I'm a singer. And I remember sometime when I tell people, I'm a singer too. People like, no, you're a bass player. And then, and I started to have some problems in France also, to renew my residence, my residency. Then I decided to go to the US. That's how I landed in New York. And I got in New York, and finally, on this quest and search of so many years, finally find a place where I felt like, wow, this place resonates like I would love it to resonate. New York was the place where I felt like, okay, this is my town, this is my home, because I found people more, I really find like fighters and people players, and you get a result immediately. You have a project. It doesn't take a week or a month to find out what the project is about. We make it sound immediately, and you get an idea what it's about, what it's all about. And that's what happened. So that's my trajectory. So Germany I don't think was not a place, because everything has to kind of, it's synchronization. Correct. Everything has to come in place for you to feel good. And I'm that kind of person, I'm not scared to go and start or do something anywhere. I trust myself, Like I arrived in New York, I had $420 in the pocket in my base. That's all I had. I had no place to go, nothing. But I was so confident and calm. And this is when you have a plan, because you have a plan. You must have a plan all the time. Right. At any stage in your life, always have a plan and execute your plan. And that's what I did. And Germany wasn't a place, because I wasn't feeling that I could execute any plan. People were nice. I mean, people brought me there. They fly me over there and all this thing. They had me a place to stay, to tell them. Flew me there, I had a place to stay and all this thing. But because of what? And then I got to New York. I had no place to stay. I had no money. I flew myself and all this thing, but I felt comfortable. So it's not about even the comfort that they give into you. No, you give yourself that mental comfort to understand that this is the place for me to stay, execute my.
Got it. You did speak about adaptation, and I'm sure you've adapted well. And you also spoke of the fact that you've sort of like inculcated a flair for languages, right? So I was intrigued by the fact that Cameroon, where you come from, has over 250 languages, some of them being Afro-Asian, Nilo-Saharan, Ubangian, and many more. So how many varieties can you speak, and how many are you planning to teach me?
I speak about 7. I could teach you a few words, but what do you want to know? Like, I could teach you.
How do I say I'm having a good time with Mr. Bona? Wow, that is that is so hard to sort of comprehend. Could you break it down for me?
I'm having a good time. You see, Kundabam. It means I'm giving you like a straight up first of all, to give traduction of one language to another one. It's not language is no the sounds of language are not the same. Like I'm having a good time with, you will go Onda Buam na the Shapona,
Okay. Okay.
Nabona. Nobody will say preach it. No.
Wonderful. I'm going to teach you Hindi in return. So you teach me a little bit of what you know, and I'm going to teach you a little bit of Hindi too, because considering you love singing in Hindi.
How do you know? I
Well,
sing in Hindi.
well, I did hear of you doing a wonderful version of Teri Diwani by the popular Kailash Kher.
Oh, Kailash Kher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful rendition, I must say. Hats off to you to sort of, do it in your style, and you've added your flavor to it. It sounded so beautiful,
I love imitating Indian singers, to be honest. I mean, the approach in India is just amazing and beautiful, and the same thing. It's just first thing I went to India was Mumbai. My first trip to India.
Okay.
Whoa, I was lost. Man.
Yeah.
I love the melody, but how do they get to sing like that? How do they, but that's what makes it beautiful around the world, and I consider myself being a student of this art, and I want to be a student the rest of my life. So I get to appreciate all these beautiful, beautiful melodies. So I'm glad you heard me singing in Hindu. And
I want to hear more of it. I want to hear you sing more.
I want to be a singer. No. I will sing more,
Yeah, that's what we want.
The song Teri Diwani, beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. It's beautiful.
Lovely, lovely. So
and around the world, music. This is how this world is a human heritage. That's why I love so much the difference. I keep telling people, you have no idea. What makes me sing this melody now is because you embrace the difference. Once you embrace the difference, you embrace the tolerance. And once you embrace the tolerance, man, the world belongs to you.
Yeah, I'm sure it's such a blissful situation, like you mentioned. You've visited India on multiple occasions, and what was your experience here like? And have you developed affinity towards other Indian musical forms too?
Well, I haven't been in India so many times. I went to India last time I was supposed to go again that was a TED conference.
Yeah.
And then it was the beginning of the COVID, and it didn't happen. So I went to India actually 3 times, not that much.
Yeah.
I went to India only 3 times. And that was the time when I did and then there was another time when I went to record, actually. I went to record a song called Shiva Mantra.
Oh, wow.
I recorded a song called Shiva Mantra with, had 2 guest singers,
Shankar Mahadevan, yeah.
Mahadevan, Nandini also singing in there, and a lot of, who was the sitar player? Oh my God, I'm forgetting names now. And a Ganjira player, and wonderful Indian musicians. And because I always write something here, I can't leave India without writing something. I gotta write something, compose something. So I came up with this Shiva Mantra, and fantastic. I love to go back again. This thing just these 2 years of confinement and stuff just put a stop into everything. It looks like everything, but you know what? We are here. We're still alive. And hopefully I get to go back again.
Yeah. On that note, I'd love to sort of host you in India. I'd love to show you different Indian musical forms like Hindustani, Carnatic, apart from the commercial Bollywood that you listen to. I would also love to bring you down to the southern part of India, which is very rich in terms of Carnatic music and classical musical forms.
Yeah.
And great food. So
let's go.
That calls for you to come here real soon.
Let's go, baby. I love Indian food.
Yeah. So,
One of my band members probably laughing now when I say, oh, the first time we went to India, we eat in Africa, we eat like we eat
uh,
spicy food and stuff. So
yes.
the guy asked us, "You want spicy?" I said, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, I want spicy." Told me, "My friend, are you sure?" I said, "Come on, man. What did this Indian guy thinks? And come on, man. This is Africa. Put me some spice." He put some spice there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost died that night.
But what did you
So
have?
he probably making.
What did he give you? What meal was it?
It was just a curry, something, a biryani or curry, something like
Okay.
that.
Got it.
And this you wanted hard or some, and my attitude was like, yeah, of course I wanted hard. Who you talking to? Man. Let me tell you, Indian hot is a different level of hot.
Yes. Yes.
But the
We,
food is good,. I always had fun.
yeah. We
We
call
all
it.
from spice. Africa is spice. India is spice. You
Uh,
know,
uh,
we're not the Spice Girls, man. We're the real original spices, man, baby.
So the spice. When you have like the spice bit and when you have the hot bit, we call it garam masala in India.
Garam masala.
Yeah.
Garam masala. Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of your major collaboration with the great Harry Belafonte, my biggest inspiration, you've played with him for a bit, and you were made a musical director for his project back in '98. So I've got two questions. How important is it for young musicians to apprentice with an elder? And what did this relation with Mr. Belafonte mean to you?
It meant a lot. It meant a lot for many reasons because I just arrived in New York City. Like I
Hmm.
told you, I just arrived in New York, and that was my first job. Harry Belafonte gave me my first job.
Yeah.
And because when I say first job, I used to gig and stuff, but those were like gigs. But this was like my first official
Uh-huh.
job with a
Uh-huh.
contract and all. So, yeah, and he is musical director,
Okay.
and I did that for 2 years. It was I was already even if I was already a professional musician and stuff. It was such a beautiful school of music. Beautiful school. That's where I learned how to run the stage. Because you could become a leader not knowing how to run the stage. Now you're playing with Harry Belafonte, man. You know how to run the stage, the business side of it too. Because once I was a musical director, I had access to all the little things behind the
Yeah.
stage. With the tour manager, with I had access to it. I used to bother him, with questions. I used to bother him all with questions. So how's this gig? How's this? And he told me everything. He told me everything. And I remember that moment. Sony Columbia wants to sign me. For
Wow.
example, I'm gonna give you an example of the kind of why this gig was so important because he was also my closest advisor and a friend, even if the distance was age.
Yes.
Because who else than Harry Belafonte knows? Who knows this platform better than Harry Belafonte?
Yeah.
I remember I didn't have money to hire a lawyer. I had this young lawyer who's popular now. I won't give his name, but I was his client. So I would call him Peter. Then I tell Peter, man, I bought Peter a suit and everything. Go and represent me at Sony.
Mhm.
They want to sign me. He got the contract, everything. He went to the meeting. I remember the head of the department there back then. What was his name? Jeff. Jeff called me and said, man, your lawyer is not good. Who's there? This is not a good lawyer. He knows nothing about business. But don't worry, we'll find you a good lawyer.
Mhm.
So I got stressed again because I'm like, oh my God, I worked so hard. I finally found a young lawyer to represent me, but the record company don't like my lawyer.
Yeah.
So I went to the rehearsal with Harry Belafonte. And he looked at me and said, so what about your contract? How's your contract going? I said, man, the guy, my attorney went to to the meeting last week. I mean, last Friday, because it was Monday morning. Last Friday. So what happened? See, why the record companies, they don't like my lawyer. Immediately he told me, keep that lawyer. I'm like, Harry, they don't like this lawyer. I say, yeah, I know. Keep that lawyer. I say, and I went home. I'm like, record is about to find me the lawyer. They gave me the name as Davis lawyer, Peter Shukas to represent. They don't like the other.
Yeah.
And then I thought again, I say, but Harry told me my lawyer, I kept that lawyer till today. He's still my lawyer.
Oh,
that
wow.
was one of the greatest, that was the greatest moves that so studying and learning is not always about taking an instrument, just somebody who's going to teach you the chord and all this. This is good, but it's called music business. So you can learn from all outside of, big black. And so I did Harry there for 2 years, and then they finally signed me with my lawyer. The lawyer didn't like me anyway. So, and I did two of my first albums were done Sony back then in New York.
Incredible.
So Harry Belafonte contributed a lot into my rival and everything. That was my first job. That's how I bought my first house, and so it's important. Those are the
So I have this very big confession to make. Harry Belafonte was my first musical memory. My grandfather introduced me to Mr. Belafonte. We had this little National Panasonic tape recorder at our home, and I used to come there for summer vacations. I was 3 years old back then, and the first ever song that I heard was the Banana Boat song. What a beautiful song, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of inspired me to listen to more music and explore music from the West. And if I'm not wrong, my first memory of you was on the concert along with Mr. Belafonte. You were wearing this cute little hat, and you were playing a Fender. You were playing a Fender jazz bass, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, guitar and Fender jazz bass. Yeah.
It was probably Jamaica Farewell. You were doing that song. I was mesmerized. You know, I was as young as a 3-year-old boy, and watching all of these musicians come together, spread a beautiful message through their music, was probably the most inspiring thing for me. And thank you so much for that, Mr. Bona. Straight from the heart.
Thank you. Yeah, Harry is a legend, man. It's that's and I gotta tell you so many stories. I could tell you thousands of stories, Harry. And so it was a beautiful school for me. Even in terms of, I remember one of my first. No, it was actually my first show in Inglewood, New Jersey. My very first show. The musical director with him and stuff. He came to me after sound check. He said, "So, boss, you ready?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." So, you sure you're ready? Like, come on, man. I mean, we rehearsed for a month or something. Now you asking me if I'm ready. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm the team is ready. Everybody's ready. He said, "No, you're not." I said, "Why you not?" He said, "Look at your cable. You see, this is unacceptable." I never really pay attention to my cable. It looks like all messy on the floor. I care about the sound. And I look at it, actually, I'm like, man, this shit looks messy though. And I try to, it's like, don't touch it. He kneeled down himself and put all my cable in place, taped them. He asked for the tape to Norman Riley, called, "Oh, I need a tape on my seat." And he told me, "Now you're ready." And he walked to his dressing room. That day, to clean my stage. So you would think, oh, I'm already good. I play good. I guess this is it. And there's so much to learn always, always. Keep that. So, and till today, I'm like, whatever I can learn, it's a bonus.
I'm guessing, of course, like the discipline and how organized he was sort of made him the successful person that he is today. And I think all of these sort of like culminate to make a world class musician.
Oh, you have to. You have to. You don't become a great at so fast like that. You
Yeah.
need to accumulate so many different experiences, different situations,
Hmm.
even the bad situations too, for you to learn. I walk in a room one time, one of my first big gig in New York too. They said we start at 10 o'clock. Then I got there at 10 because to me,
Yeah.
when I lived in France, where it's at 10 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock. I get there at 10.
Yeah.
But when I got at 10, I walk in the room, everybody was already there and on their instrument, warming up and all this thing. That was the longest walk of my entire life to get to my bass amp. Yeah, you had Mike Breaker was there, you had Steve Gadd, and I'm like, oh my God, all these guys are already here. People that you admire that are here. You know, they got here 2, 3 hours before you got here. So those are the moments also that you get to learn. You
Yeah.
know, those moments will happen. You don't have to blame yourself. Don't feel bad about it. But that moment is right there. That moment to teach you, hey, 10 o'clock is not 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock means 8:30, the latest 9. You get there and get your stuff ready, and the wheels are spinning at 10. 1, 2, 3, you're ready to hit. And that's how I became now. So, and you implement that a lot. When you see people always kind of late, it comes from upstairs. You look at my bands of all these groups where I'm a leader. The guys, they know, man. No, Richard's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Richard's gonna be the first out there. Sometimes I get beat, but they know I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna be late.
Wonderful. So, since we are already in the topic of being bona fide, your artistry, your persona, I see that you get lumped with several many musicians, but you seem to transcend that and it's beyond that. So, you have a much more unique thing that sort of gives you your identity as a musician. I can tell the lineage of some of the bass lines that I can hear from your music. There's a culmination of Western influences with some very strong African roots. When someone says, give me the bona fide flavor, how would you describe that?
How do I just to say because it comes from a combination of a lot of different instruments. I played bass. I was already a professional musician. Bass was not like, for example, you name me, like give me a bona fide line, but the bass, when you listen to me playing bass,
Mm-hmm.
if you listen carefully, I played the guitar before. If you listen carefully, I played percussion
Correct.
before.
Correct.
So it's a combination of that. If you listen clearly, you will hear a little bit of Jaco in there. Because also when this is how I got the bass.
Yeah.
I played bass because I heard Porter of Tracy. I never planned to play bass before that. And the bass was there, just like all the instrument wasn't attracted to it until I heard Jaco's first record. So it's a combination of all this things where you will hear my roots, you will hear, like you said, a little bit of Western, a little bit of that, but that's me, and I'm glad, after all these years now, you could have I could have my own identity and my own sound, my own, approach or whatever you call it.
Sure. Let me share a comment with you based on what you said. So I've heard a lot of people say that Mr. Richard Bona's music grows on one. The more you hear it, the more you like it. So, does this suggest that the feel is more to the heart than the head? More emotional, perhaps, than cerebral?
I'm not a cerebral person. I think I'm more into, when it comes to music, I
Hmm.
don't keep it, when I'm listening, yeah. When it comes to writing music and playing music, I think I go by what I feel in my heart, whatever resonates in my heart. Because I'm trying to be the person listening to Richard Bona. I'm my own listener and I'm my own player. So I want to make sure the person who is listening to me, I could lift his spirit up. And when it becomes too cerebral,
Yeah.
it kind of boring because people like to listen to something that they could feel connected with.
Yeah.
To feel connected with something is something you can realize and your heart full of, you know, like feel embrace with it. But once they don't understand, how do you want to appreciate something they don't understand? Yeah. And think of it in the audience. You look in the audience in general, 80% or more of the audience where we play, more than 80% of people
Hmm.
cannot hear an instrument. But they could feel,
Yeah.
they could feel something, you know? So once you start playing all this to these people that don't even play, that can even find a C major chord on any instrument, it become really a little kind of hard for them to. So
Relate.
when I'm on stage, I'm trying to connect everybody,
Hmm.
musicians and policemen or anybody out there, trying to get them to connect with what I'm doing. So I think that's where I get this approach where I go like, it has to come from my heart, then coming from place or technical or the speed or whatever. Um,
So, would it be right to say human emotions more than technical virtuosity any day? Would that be your ideology?
Yeah, I would say human emotion. Yeah, I would tend to say more uh, to say human emotion more than anything else.
Got it. You worked with quite an eclectic bunch of musicians that, of course, includes Mr. Harry Belafonte, Quincy Jones, Bobby McFerrin, Shaka Khan. In what ways do you think the cross cultural influences you have had has influenced your work? So, did some of these collaborations help in identifying your style as to what is meant for you and what is not meant for
Oh, that's a twisted question.
you?
First of all, people when all these people you mentioned,
Hmm.
when they call me, or in general, they're the one that called me because they're the elders. You know, I wouldn't be a young musician trying to calling Quincy to collaborate or calling Bobby McFerrin or calling Harry Belafonte. They will have to call me.
Right.
And that's why. And I think in order for them to call me,
Hmm.
there's many musicians out there. There's so many musicians in a city like New York. Musicians everywhere. But why did they pick me? They probably picked me because of that little touch of originality.
Right.
See what I mean? To have your own color, your own little word into that music that you could bring into the music, I guess. And that's how I get. That's how I get to choose musician too,
Yeah.
because I don't pick musician in my band. I want somebody. I want anybody who has good knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
who can improvise, who could blow, who could do this, but who wouldn't do it as his first choice? You understand?
Yeah.
Want somebody who's got that luggage, who got that baggage of knowledge and all this thing, but who wouldn't have the choice to use it first? Who will have a choice to listen and to bring something his own color? Exactly.
Out of the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah. I prefer that most of the time.
Lovely. People have always looked at a relationship between music and divinity, right? So, if I were to consider divinity and its music, there is it's sort of a route towards divinity. So, have you ever felt that kind of a relationship? Are you someone who believes in God, and how does it express itself?
I don't believe in God.
Hmm.
This may have to be honest,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
but I believe into a force.
Okay.
Believe in something. This is not made by it's not a coincidence.
Right.
You know, coincidence, music and all this thing every morning, and I wake up every morning around 5:30. You know,
Hmm.
look up at the sky, walk around the sea, and all this thing. So I'm surrounded with amazing nature.
Hmm.
This is coincidence, but I'm not going to tell you it's God, because who is God finally? You know, and then if I have to put an image for God, who's God? You're God to me. You see what I mean? This
Hmm.
life is to me is about love and respect. You know, loving others, respect others, and when others, it's not only humans or species or movable things. It's my surrounding.
Hmm.
My surrounding, all of these trees around here,
Yeah.
they're living a life. They have a right to this life, just like I do too. So this is God to me. The nature,
Hmm.
you know, has an appearance, more to what I would call God. Maybe God is just transforming himself into this to show me his dad, yes, but I wouldn't call somebody somewhere hiding somewhere until I see him. I wouldn't, yes. So I believe in it. So infinity conception in the music and behind what surrounds me,
Hmm.
behind people that I meet all the time, you know, those
Hmm.
are gods to me, each one of them, and every time I show them love, every time I show them respect, I feel like, and can you imagine we 7 billions of people, 7 billions or more, and what do we look like? It's crazy. We got 7 billion gods, my friend. 7 billion. You take dogs, we confusing thing. You take some opossums, some. If I took some, I don't know. I got a few lizards here, iguanas and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Three of them, I wouldn't even make a difference anymore. They look to me, they look like, but man, human beings.
Correct.
Just the fingerprints. Look at the fingerprints. Out of 7 billions, they are different fingerprints. That's crazy. I mean, sometimes I just go crazy with so many questions, but that's what makes this life so mysterious and interesting and very inspiring in a way.
You did speak about the aspect of the mystical, like you just mentioned. Does it sort of create a proclivity of interest as to something beyond the mystical?
No, really, I'm not mystical. I don't. what is happening is just what is happening. It's right there to me. I don't see anything mystical. And what is mystical out there, I don't even want to know it. I'm going to keep it mystical. Because I think if I knew, then that's it. I want to stay right here. I know that I don't know. And the more I know, less I know. I want to keep it that way and stay a student of music. Whatever is mystical out there, keep it mystical. Keep me guessing. Because that's what gives me that envy in searching. Because, I'm a human being. Once I discovered the mystery, then what left out there is no longer mystery. That's it. That's the end of the road. And I don't want this road to end. You see? I don't want to be in the front line there. I don't want to be number one. I don't want to be, it's boring. I know I want to be inside the pack, but keep climbing, keep climbing, keep climbing. You can have that need of keep climbing. Because you know what? Once you're number one, when you're number one, okay, you're on the top of a mountain. Once you get on top of a mountain, the only place left to go.
Downhill.
And I'm not going down here. I'm not going down. I'm a climber, and I want to have that state of mind of a climber all the time. So I don't want to dig out there trying to know the mystery behind it. It's called mystery. Leave it alone.
It's a very, very lovely take towards life in general.
Yeah.
So you've embarked on perhaps quite an ambitious venture by putting out your latest song, Duru Wakani, if I'm right in pronouncing that. You have dabbled into an all new world of electronic dance music. What's the story behind it? Could you tell our viewers about it?
Well, there is a new wave. I will call this a new wave of Afro-Beat, they call it. And reggaeton and Afro-Beat. And I live in the epicenter of it right now. I live in Miami because I used to be in New York pre-COVID. Now I'm in Miami, and that music is taking over. But what we call Afro-Beat today was initiated actually not far from where I grew up in Nigeria by artists like Sony or Fela, so this music used to come to us easily. So I grew up listening to this music. So, and I'm like, you know what? Let me attack this platform too. So, not attack. Let me embrace this platform too and see what's going to happen. It's something that I like. I'm really doing it, and I love to adapt to the new. I love to adapt my music to the new scene. This is a new scene now.
Yep.
And like I have TikTok. My son told me you have to have a TikTok, Daddy. I'm like, TikTok? What am I going to do in TikTok? He said, the same thing you've been doing on Facebook. Okay, well, I opened the TikTok. It's fun, and it's not for my generation. I don't think it's for my generation, but it's out there, It's not a bad thing. So I like to adapt to the new scene and all this, and that's what I did with Duru Wakani. And I wrote so many pieces, also similar kind of pieces. I wrote so many during the COVID when we were confined home and stuff. Mm-hmm. So let's see. We put a lot of great music coming. A lot of great music is coming.
Bring it on. Yeah. We were really looking forward to a lot of it. Yeah. But the first time when I heard this song, I thought this could be very well bundled onto a very popular Bollywood movie. And it would blow up the music charts out here if this song were to be there.
In Bollywood. Call up Bollywood. Tell them, man, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And I got a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it was a whole new form of evolution from what you've been putting out. I still remember the very first song of yours I heard was Sweet Mary. That's a song.
That's different,
Yeah.
Phases. Life is different phases too, and
Yeah.
I love to follow my method, the changes and metamorphosing myself into something
Mhm.
different, and I just love it. Change is good.
Change is
Change
good.
is really good.
Change is
Yeah, and right
incredible.
now I'm completely changing, man. I'm changing for real now. Duro Wakan is just 3% of it. I'm coming with some.
Yeah, bring it on.
Crazy
Bring it
stuff.
on.
Yeah,
India's waiting for Mr. Bona's entry into the Bollywood music space.
let's do it, baby. We're gonna bully with that thing, man. Different what kind, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be a dream come true.
yeah. I can't wait to come back to India. Seriously, it's been a long time, and I was really, I was surprised in a way when I came to India to see how many fans and all this, because it's far away. You think always, oh, it's too far. But with the internet today, it made the world so small.
Yeah.
Where man, you get to a place and everybody's like, man, I know this of you. Yeah, I played this, and so I'm like, wow, you play? Where did you play it? And yeah, I miss these friends in India, man. I miss my friends over there, all the friends that I got, and I know they closed the place too. I used to go at Blue Frog
Oh, Blue
in
Frog,
Mumbai.
Mumbai.
The Blue Frog. Yeah, I heard it closed down,
Yeah,
man.
they closed down. Yeah, they also closed the one in Pune. Yeah, it was quite disheartening to watch the entire
Beautiful
group.
scene, man. Loved it. And yeah, so I hope to come back again and hook up with the friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Interestingly, some musicians I've come across, you being one of them, are able to blend two completely different musical forms and create something that becomes a new classic altogether. It has normally stayed with novelty, and it's only very rarely that two people have looked to say that you're trying to do a fusion between two different musical styles and you create a vitality for a while and then it's forgotten. What is your take on something like that?
When we go out there writing music, we do not go out there trying to. I don't go out there trying to change, sing, or create a style. The friends makes it a new style. The
Yeah,
consumer makes it a new style.
correct.
But true artists,
Yeah.
they just speak with their heart, with their artistry, with their craft,
Hmm.
and put it out there. I don't think any artist go there. A real artist, I'm talking. Okay, when you go record company, sometimes plans. Okay, we need to sell this. We need to get this here. We need to get about 50,000. No, the real artist doesn't think that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm writing, really just kind of dig into my heart
Hmm.
and see what lies down there, without any other plan behind it. I'm doing Duru Wakani. You said, I said, man, let me try to blend a new sound here, this new sound with the Afro-Beat I grew up with, thing, and there it comes now. And we also, in a way, we are messengers
Okay.
to this life. We are kind of messengers. Why us? I don't know. We actually have we out there blending and showing people that it is possible, showing them that it is possible. Why not? I could blend my hometown with the Asian, with the European, with the easily. It's easy when it's done with love. It's what makes me blend the thing. What makes me go and I've been writing stuff now with some gypsy musicians from south of Spain. Why in Spain? Yeah, and why try to go right in India? Why go on that far? It's love, embracing, and the need to learn. I learned so much. Just I went to India only 3 times, Well, you have no idea, my friend, how much I had to learn. I got to learn just on 3 trips. I'm like, man, if you drop me in India for 6 months, man, I'm gonna run this thing, man. Yeah. I become the number one classical Indian. No, I'm kidding, but it's just it's the beauty of it, And you can't even describe beauty. It's just it's touchy. And in a way, yeah, that's why I believe that I don't believe in God, but this is a way of showing us the mystery of all things behind. Why you have to go this far to do this collaboration? You could just do it in your hometown. You could just no. You want to hear that from India or from south of Spain or from Nigeria, from anywhere around the world. You know, I remember one thing that's stuck in my mind. I went to Azerbaijan
Oh,
one
wow.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a show in Baku. And
Mm.
we went to eat. And in the restaurant we were eating across the street, there were an old lady singing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I stopped my dinner. I told the guy, I'm just going out for a second. They said, where you going? I went there. I stood there for like 30 minutes. I was listening to this old lady. She was walking in a little tiny little house and singing one of the most beautiful melodies ever. I didn't want to bother her. I was just like outside pretending to do something else. But my ears were like, beautiful. And I still remember, I wish I could, you know, those are the moments right there for us artists.
Mm-hmm.
That was the moment right there that captured my attention. And uh, how do you explain that? I don't know, you know. And that's what music is all about, learning as much as we could and trying to get that in, feed into your music, into your culture, and put it out there, and in showing people like again, it is possible.
Yep.
It is possible
Nothing is
always.
impossible. At least
No,
when Mr. Bona says it, we'd like to believe so.
yes. And this is our heritage, all of us. This is our heritage. And now you feel free. When you embrace this way, you really feel free. Now you feel like I could be anywhere. I could
Yeah.
be in Chennai. I could be in Tokyo. I could
Yeah.
be anywhere. I
Yeah.
feel home. You already embrace that thing, you know.
So, what about the non performing baton and life in general? We've become a society that wants to keep holding on to youth, to duty, to what have you. Do you fear the process of ultimate disintegration giving in, perhaps?
Repeat your question, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I would like to know a little bit about the non performing baton that you carry and life in general, apart from the musical bit. In terms of a society, we definitely want to be as young as we want to be, and we want to stick to our duties, to what have you. So, do you fear the process of ultimate disintegration, perhaps, giving in at a certain point?
Yeah, I mean, youngster today.
Yeah.
First of all, an experience that you have like mine is meant to be shared.
Hmm.
You know, it's not meant to be kept. And in this process of sharing, it is actually a duty. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a duty to me. It's mandatory to me.
Hmm.
When I choose to meet youngsters today, I get to places where when I have time, I insist in meeting young musicians. That's the reason why, because I feel like I had a unique experience in music, in life. I had a unique experience. and would be a selfish behavior on my part, not be able to share it with the youngster. So it's a duty to me today. Like it's actually a duty to anyone who has a knowledge about any form of for thing, and get out there and share it, especially with the young people.
Now we'll move on to the last segment of our interview, which is the rapid fire segment, wherein I'll be shooting across some spontaneous questions. You don't have to think too much. It's very, very easy, and you can be yourself.
Okay.
Feel free to be
Easy
yourself.
question. Easy question. We go now. What's your name, Richard?
If you were given a chance to promote Duru Wakani in the form of a hook step challenge, like a dance challenge, what would the signature dance step be? Could you demonstrate it to us? Lovely.
That's it.
Lovely. If I were to ask you to scat your way through and tell us your experience being on this interview with me in the form of 5 words, how would you go about it? Can you demonstrate? That sounded super eclectic, and I'm guessing you had fun.
I hope so. I don't know what I say, but
So, Mr. Bona, what is that one song that always makes you cry?
oh, a song that makes me cry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't cry listening to music, to be honest.
Okay.
No, I'm being honest.
Okay. All right. On the contrary, what is your favorite guilty pleasure song?
Let the good time roll. Quincy Jones.
Could you hum it for us?
No. What was the hook again? Man, I haven't listened to it in a long time. That's big band stuff.
Lovely, lovely. Sounded lovely. I have one last question for today.
Yes.
It's a custom in all of my interviews, and I ask all my special guests this one question. Mr. Bona, down in the distant horizon, what would you want to be remembered as?
I don't want to be remembered for a good reason that in 100 years from now, there won't be any living species that has seen you. You see what I mean?
Yeah, of
In
course.
100 years from now, nobody has seen you.
Sure.
And when that moment passes, nobody will remember you anymore.
It's a very
Becomes
different take. Yeah, it's a very different take. I agree
people
with you.
could say, yeah, they remember Jesus. You go like, you saw him? I'm being honest. It's just
Yeah.
people remember you. People will remember you as long as they interact with you or they saw you. Nobody will remember you 100 years from now. So therefore, they will listen to your music. They'll see your art. They see your painting, but nobody actually will be able to remember you.
Got it. So, before we conclude, I'd also like to say that this interview is going to be aired on 2 major radio stations in India, Big FM Shillong and Aizol, in the northeastern part of India. And this interview will also be on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and soon to be out on Spotify and other digital platforms like Google Podcasts, etc. And my show is called Stalwarts of Music with yours truly, Aditya Veera. So as we
It's a
continue,
pleasure, my friend.
as we continue to celebrate a dozen marvelous musical pieces, the showmanship you have displayed in terms of your vocal abilities, your songwriting, your bass playing, it plays a very rich and intense life that all of us sort of await to watch. So, without taking more of your time, I'd like to conclude the session. Thanks for tuning in, Mr. Bona. It's been a great blessing, honor, and a privilege.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Please do stay in touch with me. And
Thanks a lot. We will.
and I would love to share some incredible Indian music to you.
I will. I will stay in touch. Thanks so much. Much
Yeah.
blessings. And thanks to all the listeners.
Uh-huh.
And I hope I get to. Baby, want to please come home to the public. I get to go to India to love do then the curry in this house, a little bit about you go up. That's
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bona.
All the
Take
best.
care.
Much
Take
love.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.